Hey everybody, welcome to TIW Podcast. I'm Eric, and today I watched the first episode of AEW Dynamite live in person at Capital One Arena in Washington, D.C. If you've been following the last few episodes, I was previously just in Los Angeles, and actually I think I recorded that episode while I was still in Phoenix. So, the drive to Los Angeles was interesting because I drove a couple of hours to Blythe, California first, where I stopped and got a $38 hotel room. Maybe I already talked about this, but it was, I got my money's worth. I'll just say that. It's pretty rough. But made my way to Los Angeles after that. Spent way too much time trying to figure out where to park, the best place to park. I ended up just going to the next one that I was like, okay, screw it. I'm not going to find anything that's cheaper than this, probably. Otherwise, I might miss my flight. And it ended up not being too bad because it was they don't round up to the nearest day, which is fantastic. I was expecting to pay 3 days of $20 a day, but it was only 2 days, 2.25 days, basically. It's like $45 total for how long I was had left my car in Los Angeles, my rental car, that is. So that worked out. It worked out fine. The flight was really long, but I flew on Spirit and paid a little bit extra to get those big seats in the front, and that helped. That was the best choice I could have made, I think, as far as flying on Spirit goes. That was the best choice within the realm of flying on Spirit, and I recommend it. That if you do fly on Spirit, do that, and do like the bundle thing if you have like luggage and stuff. But I only had my backpack, so I didn't have to pay extra for all that. Anyway, got into BWI, Baltimore, whatever it stands for. I don't know what it stands for. And my rental car wasn't until the morning. And my original plan was just to hang out in the airport until then. But once I landed, I was like, you know what? It's gonna be nice to like sleep in an actual bed, take a shower, and all of that. So I did stay at a hotel near the airport and picked up my car like at noon instead of 6 a.m. Took as full advantage of the room as possible, and that was pretty nice. I stayed at the Live Lofts, which is it's not like the best hotel I've ever stayed at, but it was a million times better than the hotel in Blythe. So there you go. If you're spending one night in Blythe and then the next night in Baltimore, that's my recommendation for you. Have that contrast, and it'll make it an enjoyable experience. So before I headed over to... I'm recording this after I've actually already watched NXT, but I am going to do these as separate episodes because there's a lot to talk about, and talking about NXT would be a good episode to talk about getting back to California. So I am recording this back in California, but I'm not going to talk about the second half of this journey until that episode. Before I went to Capital One Arena, I saw, I realized looking at local movie theaters near the arena, because I prepaid for parking and it was good for like 12 hours. I was like, I'm going to get there early, go see a movie, and then head over to the arena. Actually, I did some other stuff too, but at the Regal Cinema downtown there in Washington, D.C., it's right... Actually, it's connected to the Regal Theaters is connected to Capital One Arena on the north side of the arena. So like when I got out of the movie, there's a ton of people with the AEW shirts and everything on. So I saw the only movie that was playing at the time, I really wish I could have seen The Matrix in 4DX. That would have been crazy. But that was playing at the same time as AEW was happening, so I couldn't see that. But I saw Abominable, which I didn't really know anything about. I don't think I had even seen a trailer for it. I just knew that it's about a Yeti, and I really, really enjoyed it. The 4DX thing, I'm not sure. I might go see another one because now because before SmackDown, that's just across the street from another theater that has a 4DX. Depending on what movie is playing there, I might go check that out. But yeah, this is a really cute movie. I recommend it. Maybe not see it in the theaters. I really enjoy it because of the 4DX, but I think I would have enjoyed it anyway. But I'm not sure I would have sought to see it in the theater if it wasn't for this 4DX experience that I was going for. The one thing that I want to mention, there's a lot of stuff that I could mention that would spoil the plot and everything, and I recommend just like not knowing very much about it. But there are these snakes in the film, and they're called whoop snakes, and they just go whoop 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 like that. And I feel like that's a reference to something else, but maybe not. I don't know. But they're present like throughout a large portion of the movie. They come back, and it was like kind of a perfect rule of threes type of thing, and it's all like a setup for a really stupid music lyrics joke, and I really liked it. I really, really liked that. I thought it made me laugh way too hard. There's some other really funny jokes in there. I don't remember them exactly, but I mean, they work better in context in the movie than me explaining the jokes or like recounting the jokes anyway. So I recommend it, especially when it comes out on home video. It's a really nice movie. It reminded me quite a bit. I don't remember the exact plot details of Kubo and the Two Strings, but it did kind of remind me of that as far as some plot and story elements go, like the themes of like family and things like that, and remembering family and all that. And I guess in a way it also has some relation to Coco a little bit, but not it more so it reminded me of Kubo. So I recommend it. Abominable. It's pretty good. If you can see it 40X, this is a good movie to try it out on, because it's a shorter movie. I think it's probably only like an hour and a half. And I think if I had gone to see The Matrix, which is over 2 hours, I believe, I would have gotten pretty sick of the seats moving around and all that kind of thing. Okay, so now let's talk about the after that, I still had some time to kill. As means me and my friend Mike, who I went to Double or Nothing with before the show. I don't know where his actual seats were, but I only met up with him and a couple of his friends right before at a local pizza place. My pizza took way too long, so they ended up heading over to the arena before I even got my pizza. So if I had known that was going to happen, I would have just gotten food to eat in the arena. And then my friend Mo, she is in town for work, and extended her trip a little bit so she could go to this show. And we bought our tickets completely separately. I mean, it was planned to try and get this to happen, but I had already bought my ticket, and it was like she was looking for tickets in the same section, but I think she was using StubHub, and I said, no, go look on Vivid Seats, because there is a ticket in my row available. And she did, and it was the seat right next to me, so that was perfect. So that was really fun seeing this show with her. And it's always fun to see a show with somebody that I know in general. It adds another element to it, because I sometimes I talk to strangers, but most of the time, I just keep to myself and then, like, chat on my phone and stuff like that. Text and Facebook, all that stuff. So yeah, that had an extra level of enjoyment to the show. And overall, I did really like this show. There are some parts that I wasn't that into, but overall, I thought it was a solid start, and I'm interested to see what the broadcast version is like with commentary and all that, because I was up in there's no chance I was going to hear the commentary in person, because I was up in 400 section, which is the top level of the arena, and even the stuff on the mics, it's like kind of in a dead zone, I feel like, of where the speakers were pointed, because they're all pointed at diagonals, the big stacks of speakers hanging up on above the lighting, and it was pretty much like in the middle of those two, so it was pretty hard to hear when anybody had a microphone and was talking. It was just like kind of I can kind of make out some of the stuff, but I'm assuming they're, depending on who it is, that they're saying some heel stuff or some nice stuff. I don't know. So yeah, that was probably the biggest issue production wise, being there in person, at least from the seats that I was at. But anyway, we have a dark match before the show. It was great to see Darby Allin in a match, because he wasn't on the actual show. It was Darby Allin versus Shima, I believe is how I pronounce it, and Darby won that match. I did not take extensive notes, of spots that I liked and things like that. I'm really just going from memory here. Then we had a little bit of a break before the show itself began. I felt like they could have thrown in another dark match there real quick, but that's okay. You want to play it safe. You don't want to have that end up going overtime or something, and then you're kind of screwed. But we open up the show with Cody versus Sammy Guevara. Cody wins, and as Sammy is offering a handshake, Jericho attacks him from behind. It was all a ruse to get Jericho's get his sneak attack in there. Then we had Brandon Cutler versus MJF. MJF won that match. I can't remember anything from that match. But my favorite match of the night, Page versus Hangman Adam Page versus Pac. Man, this match is great. This is my favorite match of the night. This is the match I would recommend seeing if you're only going to check out one full match. I'd say check out highlights of the whole thing if you can't watch the whole episode. Pac wins via the Red Arrow into Rings of Saturn, or whatever they call either of those moves now. And yeah, this is just really, really good. And Pac has got to be going after whoever wins at Full Gear, I would imagine. Then we had the Women's Championship match to crown the first AEW Women's Champion, Riho versus Nyla Rose. Riho wins, is the new champion, and then Nyla attacks her, and Kenny Omega comes out and saves, tries to save Riho's life. Nyla backs off, and then we get on to the main event. 6-man tag team match. It was the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega versus Chris Jericho and, is it the LAX guys? I don't know their names. So during the match, Moxley comes out and kills Kenny. That bastard. He kills him with a glass table. They're brawling for a while before that, and then they end up backstage in the VIP area with the big fluffy couches, puffy couches, and or their chairs. They're chair-sized couches. Anyway, Moxley hits the dirty deeds, or whatever it's called now. Obviously, I don't watch these shows with commentary. I only watch shows when I'm actually there in person, so I don't know what they call them. But he goes through a glass coffee table, and then cut to black. While they were doing all that, though, they were still like fighting in the ring, and that made it. I ended up just not paying attention to any of that. And actually, right before this, I was saying, like, you know, Kenny Omega is like my favorite thing about AEW, and then everybody else in this match I don't really care about at all. And so once Kenny was taken out with that into that glass table, I was kind of just not paying attention at all to the rest of this main event. But after Jericho wins, a big old brawl begins. More people start coming out, joining in on the fight. But then Jake Hager makes his appearance. I don't know if that's the name he's going by. Again, I didn't hear the commentary. But formerly known as Jack Swagger, he joins the battle, and we have this mega team of Jericho, his tag team partners there, Sammy Guevara and Jake Hager, and that could be pretty cool. I remember I had heard rumors. I had seen some rumors about him appearing on AEW at some point, and I mean, it's not like this huge, like, mind-blowing thing like Jon Moxley was, but I'd say it's still pretty exciting. It's still pretty exciting. Then we had 3 dark matches afterwards. We had a 4-on-4 tag team match, Lucha Bros and the Hybrid 2 versus the Best Friends and Private Party. The Lucha Bros got the win there. We had Allie and Britt Baker versus Bea Priestley and I don't remember her name. I missed it when they announced her coming out. Allie wins the match by making that other girl tap out, I think it was, or maybe she made B tap out, I don't know. And then our main event was the last match of the night was SCU versus Jungle Express. I really, really like both of these teams, so that match was a lot of fun. SCU won, which I thought was kind of strange. I don't know why they needed the win there. And also, I thought it was interesting, at least in the opening dark match, they showed their records on their fighting records on their the opening graphics, their the lower thirds with their names, and that got me wondering, are these dark matches, do those count towards that? Are those part of that record? Or is that just showing what the record is up to now? And then the next time you see them, it'll still be that same record because the dark match doesn't count. I don't know. But, yeah, it was pretty fun. It was, I mean, still a lot of people that I'm not super familiar with on the show. But, you know, I will probably check out next week's episode to see what the actual broadcast version is like as it airs. But I could kind of see myself only checking out the pay-per-views and then like the really big matches every now and then, because there isn't really anybody in AEW right now that has like my full interest captured other than Jungle Express, those guys. And if I had watched just the TV version of this episode, I wouldn't have gotten to see them at all. So I may have been more let down watching this just on TV than actually being there in person. Also seeing Darby Allin, he's one of my favorites as well. But there was that high point of Pac versus Page, and I think I still would have been satisfied just watching it as broadcast. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it for my thoughts on it. I'm looking forward to see what else they do, how the show is moving forward, and like I said, checking out the broadcast version. It turns out that I did not set it up to record on my DVR. So I'm going to have to check out I guess you can watch the first episode on the TNT website for free. You don't have to have a login or anything. So that's nice. So I may check that out at some point, but I will for sure watch the broadcast version of next week's show. So stay tuned. Before my flight back to Los Angeles, I did watch NXT, this week's NXT. So I'll do a separate episode about that and talking about my trip back here and talking about Ad Astra, which I am about to see at an AMC here in California. So stay tuned for that. All of that in the next episode. Let me know what you thought about AEW's premiere and if you've seen Abominable or a 4DX movie in general, but especially if you've seen Abominable in 4DX. By tweeting me at TIW Podcast. Go to TIWpodcast.com for more reviews. If you enjoyed this episode or anything else on the site, please share some links with your friends. Subscribe on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, YouTube, wherever you like to listen. And stay safe out there in all the infinite multiverses so I can see you next time here on TIW Podcast. Bye!